Played at Fayetteville High School, played for the Razorbacks, played in the NFL. Brandon Allen is with us here on the Williams Tractor Hotline on Ruscin and Zach. Brandon, it's good to talk to you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Well, we're doing good. Appreciate the time today. We were talking earlier. I think, and you can tell us if I'm wrong, I think history is kind to you because I feel like Razorback fans appreciate you more now than they did when you played. I remember when you were played and I was hosting these shows, and there were a lot of people that didn't have a lot of nice things to say about you back then. But now I feel like Razorback fans appreciate the job that you did and all those wins back then.
Well, it's not an easy job, I'll tell you that. So it takes a lot to play the quarterback position because you lose and win at that position, so it's definitely tough for anyone to play it.
You would understand this better than anybody. I mean, what Felipe Franks is sort of stepping into, where he becomes the figurehead for the football program in the state of Arkansas, and all the good and bad that comes with it. What are the kinds of things that he can expect from non-football parties?
Well, I think I was able to talk to him a few times since before all the COVID and all that, and I think he's a confident guy. He's gonna do a lot of good things for us. So I'm excited for what he can do, and I think he's got a real level head on his shoulder. So I think he knows he's here to win some games, and that's exactly what he's gonna do for us.
There's few guys, but there are guys who were in that role, being the quarterback at that school, the flagship school of the state. Do you guys ever text or chat about this experience or that experience and how you handled all that stuff? Do you talk to the other former Arkansas quarterbacks?
I have. I was close with Tyler Wilson and Ryan Mallett, and obviously my brother, so we talk about it. But it's back then. We win a lot of games. It was fun and things were great. And obviously we had a bit of a slump here in the last couple of years. But like you always said, there's always goods and bads. There's a lot of good times when you're winning, having a good time, and then when you lose, it's tough. It's tough on not just yourself, but the whole state rooting for you, and then not seeing the results. So we stay in contact, and I don't know if we reminisce so much, but we definitely talked about our times playing at Arkansas.
Brandon, there's a question I've always wanted to ask you, and I've never had an opportunity. And you'll never get asked this question anywhere else but right here. On the Henry Heave. Okay, you've done your part. Ball's out of your hand. You're watching this. When the ball goes up in the air and Hunter throws it up in the air, and you go, and the first thing that runs through your head is what?
That ball's headed my direction. I'm kind of hoping and praying. I see Alex next to me, so I'm kind of hoping he gets on it. It actually worked out perfectly.
I've watched it from a couple of different angles, and I mean, your eyes got as big as saucers when that thing went up in the air. I mean, ultimately the play works out, and ultimately you guys are a part of history. You seal the game, but I mean, in that moment, you've got to be thinking to yourself, "Oh my God, the ball's in the air and it's coming my way."
It's not supposed to come back.
It's not supposed to come backwards. It goes forwards.
That was definitely a first for me. I was sitting there looking for anyone past the first down markers, and I could have threw a Hail Mary up or something, and I saw Hunter probably about. At the time, I thought he was about 5 yards short. I think he was closer to 10 or 11, but I figured I'd just give it to him, and maybe he breaks a tackle or something, and he obviously a smart enough player just to keep it alive, and that just tells you how good of a player he was to be that smart in that situation.
Film review the next day. I mean, do you guys just go over that one and go, you know what, this just happened, or do we actually break this down and start breaking through this and go, guys, let's not do this again?
I don't know that there was an actual coaching tip on that play. I think all I got was you're lucky that it worked out because you didn't throw it for a first down. So I'm glad it worked out for me.
We're talking with Brandon Allen here on Ruscin and Zach. The other thing, this from the fan perspective, the waves of emotion in those moments, because you see that he's short, and then you get down, and then you see that Alex takes off, and it's a first down, and then on the last play. It looked like game over, but then there's a personal foul call on a hit on you, and then they end up getting another chance, and you guys win the ball game there.
Yeah, definitely a roller coaster in that game, especially a roller coaster of emotion. But on the Heave play, obviously that was a wild play. It took the refs, I think, 3 or 4 minutes to figure out what to even do. And then the first 2-point conversion was, I was looking right at the ref, and he saw the guy grab my face mask. I knew that was going to be a flag. And then obviously the last play worked out well for us.
You are a part of one of those. You're going to be asked about this by people for forever. Is that kind of a cool thing to be a part of such a legendary moment in the history of the school?
I think it's fun. Obviously, it's a lot more fun because we won the game, but just that play in general was, like you said, a roller coaster of good, bad, good again. And it's just kind of cool to be a part of that.
Brandon, I read playbooks like they're novels, and we always hear about, like, going into the draft process, how big a jump there is from the college offense to the pro offense, and you're certainly qualified to talk about that sort of jump. What is it like? What is it about the jump, not just the speed of the players, but from a technical standpoint, from a playbook standpoint? What is that jump like from going from a college offense to a pro offense?
Yeah, it's definitely different. There's more detail, like you said. There's more detail involved. There's a lot more things, especially at the quarterback position, that you're being asked to do. But it's also, when you jump that NFL level, that's your job, and so you can spend a lot more time because your class is working on those plays. Your class is learning that whole detailed system, and you're not actually taking chemistry at 12:30 and then showing up for practice later. So there's a lot more time, I think, that you can get more detailed in those playbooks.
It's funny. I just got a text from Dow Loggins. He said to tell you hello. Give us, because none of us sitting here, and very few of us, listening, have ever heard what an NFL play call sounds like. The verbiage that goes along with it. Just give me something very basic and kind of tell me what you're talking about, because most people, when they hear, we watch the Gruden QB camps, we hear Spider 2 Y banana, and they're like, okay, we know what that is. But that's a very most plays don't sound like that.
Yeah, I've had to learn, I guess, now 4 different offenses in my NFL, and had 4 different offenses at Arkansas, and luckily I came from a pro-style system at Arkansas, so the verbiage kind of translated a little easier for me. But definitely under McVay, there was not usually one play called at one time. You had to get in there and call 2 different plays in the huddle and be able. So we had to do a lot of shrinking of the verbiage just to. So we had a lot of smart guys, and so we had a lot of plays that were just numbered in order to just call 2 different plays in the huddle. So, and if I gave you one right now, it's been a while now, but we had certain plays where, you just have a simple pass play, just could be trips right, 2-jet, whatever the route concept is. And then you can it with another run play or pass play. And then that's where I talk about the detail with the quarterbacks. You have to be able to know why you want each play, what the defense is doing, and be able to get yourself in the right play.
I've heard Peyton Manning and Tom Brady talk about protections being the hardest part or the biggest part of that jump, in sort of managing the protections and making sure the play is almost the last thing you worry about. Peyton Manning said you got to be upright to deliver the ball, and getting the protections right is the first thing that you have to do when you get to the line of scrimmage.
Absolutely. That's any quarterback really. You got to get everyone right, and you put a lot of that on the quarterback to get everybody right. And like I said, there's so many smart guys in the NFL that you have some of the linemen seeing the protection checks, the quarterback seeing the protection checks. So it's kind of a group effort getting everyone right. But yeah, like you said, you can call the play, memorize it, know exactly what you're supposed to do. But if you can't get yourself upright to throw, then the point is mute.
We're talking with Brandon Allen here on Ruscin and Zach. You've learned a lot of different systems. We have Felipe Franks and the Razorback quarterbacks who are still here from last year learning a new system. What are some of the hacks to learning a new system, particularly now when you can't get on the field really with anybody and run, have all 11 or even have 7 guys, I guess, out there?
It definitely makes it harder that you can't rep the plays. But what I was able to do, not necessarily a hack, but I was able to basically take what I knew from my previous offense and then, okay, this play and this play, they're the same. And so I just got to learn. Basically, all you're doing is learning new verbiage. And so a lot of concepts will remain the same no matter what league you play in. And it really just comes down to just trying to memorize the verbiage, and that's all pretty much is.
We're getting a couple of texts here. Want me to ask you about the Mississippi State game when you were clearly the best player on the field that night. What are your remembrances from that game? I mean, Dak Prescott's on the inside. You guys are just going up, both of you, up and down the field that night.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I don't know if I was the best player, but I could have been the second best behind Dak there. But it was it was an offensive battle. I think after the first half, we kind of knew it was going to be tough to stop their offense. They could move the ball. Dak could do it all, throw it, run it. And so I think as an offense, we knew it was going to come down to us putting enough points to win. And, we got together. Our pass game was really, really clicking that day. And I think they had just put so many resources into stopping our run game that it has opened up a lot of one-on-one opportunities for our receivers and tight ends. And, I had the easy job just getting on the ball, and they made all the plays for me.
And you had some great weapons. Right now, you look at young guys like Trey Knox and Traylon Burks. What would it? Part of you ever want to get out there and toss it around to those guys? They can go up and get it.
Oh yeah, we have some good weapons coming back this year. That's for sure. And any quarterback will tell you their job gets so much easier when you got playmakers around you. And I'm excited to see what those two can do this year. Obviously, got more confidence. You get anytime you get some years under your belt, you get more confidence, and so I think they'll be high on confidence and coming out ready to make a lot of plays.
You crossed over with Coach Pittman when he was at Arkansas. I mean, and obviously he coached the guys that were up in front of you. Tell us what, from your perspective, from the guy who works with the offensive line, what's he going to do for Arkansas, and what are some of your personal experiences with him?
Yeah, I love Sam Pittman. I think that was a great hire for us, and like you said, when I was with him, he was easily one of my favorite coaches while we were there, and obviously loved what he did with our line because they did a lot for me. We couldn't have won any games if it wasn't for what he was doing with them, and so I've loved the relationship with him, and I've had a chance to go in and talk to him, and he's the same. I think he'll bring a lot to the offensive line. I think he's going to do a lot in recruiting. So I think sky's the limit with him there.
We're talking with Brandon Allen here on Ruscin Zach. There's a deep tie. I remember all the former players lobbying when this was kind of up in the air, and then being excited when Sam Pittman got the job. And when we've spoken to him, we've heard him spoke. Man, there's a care factor there that's just different. Than this isn't just another gig to this guy. There's a care factor with this school and with that job that's different with Sam Pittman.
Yeah, I think he loved Arkansas when he was here. Obviously, you can tell just by talking to him, he's happy as heck to get back. And I think he's just he's a genuine, real human being. And I think a lot of players connect with that. That the guy's not just blowing smoke. He's when he says something, he means it. And I think that goes a long way in the locker room with a lot of these players.
Hey, Brandon, I want to ask you about the relationship between Felipe Franks and Kendall Briles. Your high school OC takes a lot of credit for your pro career right now. He's kind of living off that right now. But that relationship between like OC and quarterback, I mean, that's more than just guy coaching a position. I mean, those two really have to be almost symbiotic to get this thing off the ground, especially year one under these sort of circumstances.
Yeah, and I think. I've heard it from a number of coaches, but the quarterback is just an extension of the coaching staff, is what I've always heard. And so I think the quarterback has to be more of a coach than a player in some aspects. When the OC's calling a play, the quarterback has to be on the same page. Okay, why is he calling this play? What are we expecting in this situation for why he's dialing this up? What coverage is he thinking I'm going to see? And if it's not there, where do I go with the ball? And so I think those two positions, the quarterback and the OC, and the quarterback coach as well, I think all of them have to be on an identical page, and that's the only way to really have success.
Another thing that's got to happen is because every football season there's ups and downs, and keeping everybody kind of upbeat and still pulling on the rope during the down times has been an issue the last couple of years. What do you do there? How do you keep a locker room engaged and on board when things aren't going so well?
It's not easy, but I think a lot of that comes back to not just the quarterback, but the leaders of your team. You have to have a great core leadership on your team. And my senior season, we started out 2-4, and we were able to rattle off 5 of the next 6 wins, or 6 of the next 7, I guess. And then it really just comes down to the leadership within the team. There's only so much that coaches can say to you. There's only so much that, only so many plays they can call. It really just comes down to your leadership in your team, getting your team to, believe you're going to win every game. Even when you've lost a couple, those games are out of your mind now. It's on to the next game. We got to win this one. And I think, like I said, it just comes down to the core leadership of the team.
We had Dre Greenlaw on last Friday, and I asked him sort of the same question. I'll ask you the same thing. I mean, you're a local guy, Fayetteville High School. You had a chance to go. You're with the Rams. They go to the Super Bowl. Last year, you're throwing touchdowns against the Cleveland Browns. I mean, do you ever stop and think of that journey where in 2010 you're throwing against Bentonville, and next thing you know, I mean, you've got the Cleveland Browns on the other side, and you're throwing to Cortland Sutton. You ever get a chance to just sort of look around the stadium and go, "Wow, I made it"?
Well, not yet. I think here in about 30 years maybe, but it happens so fast. I mean, it feels like a blink of an eye, while still back in high school. But it's all about just enjoying the little moments and staying present in the moment and, enjoying the highs and even enjoying some of the lows. And, like I said, I think here in 20, 30 years, I might look back and think that was pretty cool. But when you're here right now, you're just enjoying one day at a time.
Brandon Allen with us here on Ruscin Zach on the Williams Tractor Hotline. Brandon, thanks so much for the time today. We enjoyed it, and we'll catch up again down the road, all right?
All right, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Brandon.
All right, Brandon and all of our guests join us here on the Williams Tractor Hotline.